I started my gym membership a month ago and had major aches and pains in my bones and muscles, hurt so bad, my knees, that I was almost not going to go to the gym. So I started taking STP and SLD on my way to the gym, and pain is gone. Working out is going great.
My 17-year-old son suffers from pretty high general anxiety, and he's on a medication, but he came home from school one day and just had the worst panic attack. There was no reasoning with him. So I gave him one of our drops, Relax, and he took it. 20 minutes later, came down from his room, said, wow, that really took the edge off. I think I'm going to carry it around with me, and went to tennis.
6 years after I had ACL knee surgery, I finally started hiking again, but a 5-mile hike meant I was done for the rest of the day with my leg up and an ice pack on my knee. 6 months after taking SLD daily and taking an extra one every time before I hike, my average hike is now 7 miles and no more ice pack, and I can still have a fun evening afterward.
I have a 29-year-old son who, through the past year, has suffered with not being able to sleep through the night. He wakes up restless, racing thoughts, just can't get back to bed. And I dropped off a box of RLX, or Relax, and he called me a week later and said, holy moly, Mom, what is in this drop? I am sleeping through the night, and so is my fiance. So it just, and he's 6'4", 260 pounds. So he's my big bear cub. So I was very happy to know that he's sleeping well.
My cat was exhibiting cold symptoms, runny eyes and runny nose, and I dissolved a Grow in some water, and I gave it to him by eyedropper, and the next day all his symptoms were gone.
Here we go. I used to get monthly migraines, and I started taking Power, and since then it's been it's been 5 or 6 months. I no longer get my monthly migraines. They're completely gone.
Before I got introduced to the drops, I used to take my daily supplements every day, and you can see there's a bunch of pills in there. And today, thanks to my Healthy Candy, I just take my Power for Women, my MLS, and my Grow. So I went from this to this.
I am a maturing woman and have had a little bit of trouble sleeping with that wonderful thing called menopause. And interestingly enough, that these drops, although phenomenal, when you combine them, amazing things can happen. And every evening I take a drop tail, a cocktail of 3 drops. I take Relax, I take HPR and Norm, and I sleep like a baby. Everything has changed.
Before APLGO, I struggled to find something all natural that I could give to my kids that actually worked and that they would actually take. My younger son does not swallow pills at all, and he would have an occasional tummy ache. Our older son suffered with constant pain in his legs and hip and knee. And I started giving him STP and SLD every single day. And now he is your normal 14-year-old boy, good or bad. He runs around like crazy. And our younger son now asks for an ice anytime that he has a tummy ache, and he knows that it works fast, and bonus, he doesn't have to swallow a pill.
Before the pandemic, I was known as Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. Always so happy, always so eager to help everybody, passionate about helping everybody. Then the pandemic hit, chaos came about the world, politics went crazy, and the whole world went crazy. There was daily stress, there was daily anxiety. I didn't know if I was gonna cry from one moment to the next. I didn't know if I was gonna scream, if I was gonna yell, if I was gonna cuss. In fact, I did all those things. My children now have learned some new cuss words, but all that has changed. I have a drop for that. I started taking RLX, and it's changed everything. It's taking care of the daily stress, the daily anxiety, the daily chaos, And best of all, I can even sleep at night without my mind going 90 miles per hour, wondering about what stress is going to come around the next corner. And I'm able to get a good night's sleep without all the groggy feeling. Now I'm back to being Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, instead of the West.
Okay, I'm speaking for my husband, George.
I'm sitting right here, but she's doing it.
He's too shy to go on the camera. But he first started taking Relax to help him sleep. And after I gave him one, he kept asking for them every night. So he has them beside his bed. And then he started taking BRN. He has neuropathy and his feet were freezing cold and he couldn't feel any sensations. And now he has warm feet and he can feel his feet. So I think it's wonderful.
My goal is not to have to take any pharmaceuticals to the time that I'm 115 years old. And up to this point, probably in the last 6-8 months, I stopped taking over-the-counter Pepcid. It was the only issue that I had was reflux, and it was keeping me up at night. In fact, I thought it was menopause, but it turned out to be reflux. Turned out that that medication was causing me more issue. And so taking MLS and occasionally ice, but I believe because I'm working on my gut health that the MLS is just the standard and foundational drop for me.
My 4-year-old grandson has developmental issues and is nonverbal. Recently, he has been putting together 3- and 4-word sentences, and this week he gave a toy to mommy and said, "Turn this on, please." He's taking the BRN and the MLS.
So since the age of 31, the patches of plaque flare-ups on my skin were common over most of my joints, specifically on the joints of my thumbs, and that was associated with inflammation. My lovely friend Pamela shared SLD and STP with me in January of this year with free samples, pop a drop. At first I didn't feel anything, and that was the point. My symptoms were gone. When I ran out of drops, my symptoms reappeared, and I was shocked it was the drops that helped. I haven't stopped taking these drops since February when I got my own. And now at 56, I'm in the gym twice a week with a trainer, exercising.
I suffer with muscle aches and pains that was hard to walk sometimes. And I recently went hiking with my son, and I was wondering, am I going to be able to even do this? And so I realized that I do have the drops. And so I started using SLD, STP, and ALT. And when I use those drops, I finished the hike in no problem. And my son, 28-year-old son, even said, "Mom, you're such in good shape." And that made me feel good.
Before I started taking the drops, my feet were cold. I started taking heart. Within 5 or 6 days, I started getting little bursts of warmth in my feet. And now they're warm at least half the time, about 50% of the time. They're still cold when I go to bed at night, but when I get up in the morning, I take a heart and I immediately feel the rush of warmth in my toes. It's awesome. Before I started taking brain, my thinking was all screwed up because I suffered an anoxic brain injury because I had colon cancer, and my surgery took 7 hours instead of 3 hours. So I had a brain injury. Since I've been taking the brain, my thinking is a lot clearer. I can concentrate a lot better, and I'm more myself again. I'm talking again to people. I don't have a problem talking anymore. I used to somebody would say something and I would not reply. I'd think it in my head, but I wouldn't say anything. Now I do. I started taking power, and that really makes me happy. So I feel like $1 million. I do. I just feel like Superman. I'm so happy